Good evening, this is Vox Africa News and let's look at our headlines for today. In South Africa, the opposition Democratic Alliance Party's call for a revote on the controversial secrecy bill is rejected by ruling ANC party. Nigeria's fast-growing population is concerning, as analysts say it will present a setback on gains made in development, still leaving many in poverty. And the 3 British men held in Dubai for using synthetic cannabis claim they have been tortured, an allegation which Premier Cameron has said is being taken seriously. In South Africa, attempts by the opposition Democratic Alliance DA to call for a revote on controversial secrecy bill has been rejected by the ruling African National Congress Party. The DA party made the call when ANC Chief Whip Motole Motshega said a technical glitch was responsible for his vote coming out as opposing the secrecy bill. The ANC said the DA opposition was exploiting this technical problem for political reasons in a move which they termed an act of desperation and posturing. The bill has received wide criticism, as many say it will undermine transparency and accountability in a government already fraught with corruption. Still in South Africa, the National Union of Mine Workers plan to demand double-digit pay rises during wage talks beginning in May. The union arrived at the decision following a tough 2012 year in which it lost scores of its members in clashes and thousands more to a militant rival Association of Mine Workers and Construction. The wildcat strikes last year greatly affected production and greatly reduced the profit margin of most mining companies. NUM faces major hurdles apart from a decreasing membership, as its members have been accused of cozying up to management while losing touch with the situation on the ground. The president of Botswana, Ian Khama, had a quick brush with carnivorous teeth, which luckily left him without major wounds. Mr. Khama and his bodyguard were caught off guard by a cheetah, which scratched his face. He was visiting a Botswana Defence Force barracks last week. When this happened, the government has issued a statement saying this was a freak accident and not an attack. Cheetahs are one of the fastest land mammals and are now listed as an endangered species. Nigeria has been one of the nations with a fast-growing economy, but a growing baby boom has prompted concerns that the growth will not lift the increasing population from poverty. It is already the most populous nation on the African continent and also registers the fastest population growth rate of 2.4% each year. Skeptics say services and the environment cannot keep pace with a population rising at 2.4% a year, according to UN figures. Demographers fear a crisis of poverty and social upheaval could offset gains from the birth of new consumers. The increasing jobless and uneducated youth, some fear, could threaten the country's stability. Workers in the family planning field believe the growing population is due to lack of birth spacing out practice, which remains very low in Nigeria compared to its much smaller neighbors.
Only about 10% of women in Nigeria who are supposed to practice family planning or to space their children are actually adopting the modern family planning methods. We have another 3 to 4% who are using the traditional methods. So what I'm saying in effect is that the practice of child spacing in Nigeria is very, very low compared to many other Africans.
We just keep, working at it. I mean, of course, the growing population means growing demand for infrastructure, growing demand for housing, for everything. And, sometimes the development of these infrastructure and other public services don't exactly keep pace with the, rapid population, growth.
Syria's Prime Minister Wael al-Halki narrowly escaped a bomb blast which targeted his convoy in the Mezeh district in Damascus earlier today. His bodyguard was killed, according to state TV reports. The premier made it to his meeting today, though he appeared quite shaken. The bomb is said to have been placed underneath a car which was close to the PM's convoy and went off as he was passing by. Syrian government troops have been clearing the blast site for clues. So far, no group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Now, with fighting continuing between pro-Assad forces and rebels in Syria, a growing number of countries have said there are indications chemical weapons have been used. Russia has been quick to rebuke this move, saying it could end up unfounded, like previous assertions.
There is not always a basic for these reports. I remember that in December last year, as it was reported, near the city of Homs, chemical weapons were supposedly used, then those reports were denied. Everyone has happily forgot about them. No one has ever presented any proof of those statements to anyone. There are probably governments and a number of external players who believe that in order to overthrow the Syrian regime, all means are fine. By the theme of using weapons of mass destruction is too serious. But we shouldn't joke about it. To speculate about the geopolitical goals is not acceptable.
Earlier today, at least 18 people were killed following a string of blasts in Shiite Muslim areas of southern and central Iraq. The deadliest attack was in Amara, where 2 car bombs went off close to an area where construction workers gather and also near a marketplace. According to police, 42 people were wounded. Sectarian violence has been on the rise in Iraq. Since Tuesday, the total number of people killed through blast now stands at 218. 3 British tourists held in Dubai for possessing synthetic cannabis with intent to use claim they have been tortured in detention. Grant Cameron, Carl Williams and Sunit Jir, who have been held since July last year, were charged and are to spend 4 years in jail. They all deny the charges, and the UK Foreign Office in Dubai has been pressing for an independent investigation into the conduct of the police in Dubai. It is alleged they were tasered and pressurized into signing statements in Arabic, according to Grant Cameron's mother. David Cameron has said the British government is taking very seriously the allegations of maltreatment. One of the defense lawyers has said the torture allegations only came up a week after he took up the case.
The court has sentenced the suspect to 4 years. We have not explored the reasons yet, but they were sentenced for drug use and not for dealing drugs.
With regards to the allegation of torture, the problem is the suspect did not raise it with the police or the general prosecutor during the investigation. This torture allegation came up 1 week after I was hired to defend one of them. At that time, he said he was tortured.
3 notes left by prank call nurse who committed suicide last December says the 2 Australian DJs should be held responsible. Nurse Jacinta Zaldana took her own life in December last year after falling victim to a prank call seeking information on the health of the Duchess of Cambridge. DJs Mel Gregg and Michael Christian had pretended to be part of the royals in order to find out about Kate Middleton's acute morning sickness. The mother of 2 did not blame King Edward VIII Hospital where she worked. She exonerated the hospital and thanked her colleagues in the 3 notes. At least 40 people have been injured in a blast that rocked the city centre of Prague in the Czech Republic. The explosion took place in a building at the city centre in Divaldeny Street. A gas leak is believed to be responsible for the explosion. There have been reports from people who smelled a strong gas odour before and after the explosion. The building housed a film school and Charles University's social sciences faculty. Reports from Czech radio said that 3 people may be trapped in the rubble. The European Commissioner for Climate Action is urging all countries to take measures to adapt to changing climate or face instability and deeper social divisions as a consequence.
What we are trying to do now with the EU adaptation strategy is we should not in Europe wait for the incidents, for the consequences, for the very bad incidents to come up before we start actually to address it, because we have a lot of knowledge. There are so many things we could do. And the underlying logic is that investing in adaptation now will save lives and much greater costs later. That is our point of departure for this whole strategy. There are changes we know about for sure, and impacts whose magnitude we are less sure about. But that does not mean that we should sit idle and just waiting to see the next occurrences come up.
Thank you. In the Netherlands, preparations are underway for the inauguration ceremony of Prince Willem Alexander's ascension onto the throne. The ceremony, which will take place tomorrow, has attracted dignitaries from various countries. Queen Beatrix will pass over the scepter of power to her son, just like her mother before her, and before that, her grandmother. The Queen, who is much loved by the Dutch, announced her decision to abdicate the throne in January this year. Prince Willem had drawn the ire of the Dutch society when he married his wife Maxima, the daughter of an Argentinian minister. Many in political circles still think the House of Orange, which is the Dutch monarchy, remains of great importance to the country.
I believe the Dutch monarchy, the House of Orange, it represents continuity. The House of Orange is connected to Dutch society for over 500 years, even when we were a republic. They were holding the highest offices in the state, in the land. And since 1813, the House of Orange is also giving us our kings and queens. So there is continuity, and at the same time, it makes people more open and more willing to confront the real government, the cabinet.
I hope that the world sees very happy Amsterdammers and Dutchmen celebrating the new king and giving dignity and joy to the day. And then I think in the world people will positively judge that, because it is crisis. It all helps to get our self-confidence at order.
Although its release has been delayed in the UK, Samsung Galaxy S4 has been launched in Germany. Samsung is currently doing very well despite some legal troubles last year with Apple and losing a share of the US market. With Apple reporting profit declines, Samsung has been doing very well, posting a record quarterly profit. Apart from the S4, Samsung Galaxy Note is set for release soon, and Samsung is embracing the tablet market by announcing its soon-to-be-released Galaxy Tab 3. In an escalation to the dispute in the Pacific Peninsula, South Korea has adopted a resolution against Japan today. This follows the visit of over 160 Japanese officials to the Yasukuni Shrine, which honors Japan's war dead and equally Japanese war criminals who were indicted by the Allied Tribunal after the Second World War. 238 South Korean MPs out of 239 voted in favor of the resolution against Japan. There was one abstention. The Japanese Prime Minister Abe Shinzo has defended the decision of his officials to visit the shrine, especially his deputy Taro Aso. North Korea is to open a theme park in its capital Pyongyang with a replica of the London Big Ben clock in display. The park, which plans to open later this year, will be a miniature world park and will also boast a replica of Paris Eiffel Tower. In order to boost tourism, North Korea is reportedly building a mini-golf theme park as well. Despite the ambitious construction plans, living conditions outside of Pyongyang remain dire, with most people dealing with food rationing and constant electricity cuts. Let's move over to sports. In a bid to improve tourism in the North Queensland area in Australia, a competition involving 20 film directors has arisen. Natalie Muzinga has more.
Inspired by the Best Job in the World campaign, a competition has now arisen where 20 filmmakers are competing to give the best creative illustration of paradise.
One day in paradise. It's a really unique challenge for 20 Australian filmmakers to actually capture their one day in tropical North Queensland. So the aim of this project is to really take that cliched notion of paradise and completely flipping it on its head. And so how the guys are going to do it is actually by going out and creating some really engaging, authentic content that actually really inspires people to come and visit the region.
The filmmakers are competing for a cash prize of 75,000 Australian dollars and are given the restrictions of only using a GoPro camera, which is a camera mainly used in sports, famous for its versatile shooting modes in detail.
But it was a great opportunity for us to come up here and do something really fun, a little bit ambitious, and really try and get creative and try and do something, I guess, a little bit different to what we do every other day.
The competition was created in partnership between Tourism and Events Queensland and Tourism Tropical North Queensland. The challenge involves participants creating a 2-minute short film capturing paradise in a day in the remote areas of tropical North Queensland. So far submitted footage ranges from extreme sports such as skydiving from the famous Great Barrier Reef to extreme kayaking to a reality show-inspired clip illustrating a contestant spending the day in the rainforest with an Indigenous Australian known as the original inhabitants of Australia. Each of the participants will be analysed based on the way they creatively portray North Queensland region.
I think people realise how special this part of Australia is. It's really a bookmark of the evolution of the whole planet, and it sits up here, and it's just a really unique place to visit. And I'd encourage probably anyone to come up here because you can get a taste of how it was 135 million years ago.
Today we're here to film the Monsoon Madness, which they are a group of friends who do extreme kayaking down the amazing waterfalls here, so it's going to be unreal.
Yeah, it's looking absolutely incredible. These guys are mad, obviously.
Competitors include past Australian Tropfest and film industry winners, documentary filmmakers, award-winning commercial directors and YouTube entrepreneurs.
It sounded like a good concept to get on board with, particularly having a selection of filmmakers that are all got the same tool. I think it's something unique that, it just basically comes down to the idea, the story that you can come up with, and just some really basic storytelling techniques rather than, all the expensive lenses and cameras that we usually got.
The project will also promote tourism to the area, which has suffered a downfall since the flooding in 2012 that left 3 people dead and hundreds of people stranded at the Queensland city of Bundaberg, caused by a cyclone. The films will be broadcasted on YouTube for viewers around the world to vote for their favourite short film from mid-May, followed by a judging in June by a panel of Queensland tourism industry representatives who will choose a winner of the GoPro challenge based on community engagement, creativity and how close the movie is related to the briefing.
World number 2 Maria Sharapova has been at it again as she scooped the Stuttgart Grand Prix title on Sunday. She defended her title with a 6-4, 6-3 victory over second seed Li Na of China to kick off her clay court season in style. World number 5 Li, who has won 1 title this year, had not lost a set all week, but the Chinese could not cope with her Russian opponent. Sharapova and Li are both expected to play in the Madrid Open, which begins on May 4th. Despite the defeat, Li was pleased with how she performed in her first tournament on clay this season.
So I'm proud for myself because this is the first week of the clay court season, just started. So of course I got a lot of confidence, I got a lot of positive thing on the court. Yeah, I was pretty happy. I mean, first one that I can be in the final.
Yeah, I spent so many hours on the court before this final, and I knew against a tough opponent like Li Na, I didn't really want to get into a third set battle with her, especially today after me being on the court for so many hours and her having quick 2-setters. So I was just really happy with the way I started the match and carried that confidence throughout the whole match.
Twelve-year-old Chinese golfer Yi Wo-cheng has broken records by becoming the youngest ever player to qualify for the European Tour. Ye practiced in the northern city of Tianjin today, where he will take part in the May 2nd to 5th European and One Asia Tour event. The calm schoolboy from China's far southern Guangdong province started playing the sport at the age of 4 under his father's encouragement and received professional training from the age of 9. Having shot to fame last month when he qualified for the tour, Ye is ambitious for the future. Top Spanish golfer Alvaro Quiros, a 6-time winner on the tour, said young players were making an ever greater mark on the sport.
I haven't seen him hitting balls, but if he qualified for the tournament, should be a good player. And obviously that's the future. The guys like him, very young guys. China obviously is starting to play more golf, so it's going to be easier to see a lot of young talents like him, I guess.
Well, before leaving you tonight, let's revisit the headlines. In South Africa, the opposition Democratic Alliance Party's call for a revote on the controversial secrecy bill is rejected by ruling ANC party. Nigeria's fast-growing population is concerning as analysts say it will present a setback on gains made in development, still leaving many in poverty. And the 3 British men held in Dubai for using synthetic cannabis claim they have been tortured, an allegation which Premier Cameron has said is being taken seriously. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Vox Africa and enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.